this gingham paradise you've made for yourself. You know it's not real, don't you? I mean, come on, the 50s didn't even look like this in the 50s. You're living in a cartoon. Do you want to know what the 50s were like from someone who was actually there? Well, the 50s were terrible. And the idea that anyone would want to live there, well, it's ridiculous. The pair of you in your frocks, I mean, look at you. Do you know how cold it was? From November right through to March. Everyone huddled around a fireplace because everywhere else was freezing. Except about a yard around the living room fire. But the rest of it, bone cold. You bit your nose off in the morning. I'd offer to help my mum cook dinner, but not so I could spend time with her, just so I could stand next to the oven. Sundays that lasted a whole month. Nothing open, nothing to do. Church, freezing. But you couldn't not go. Rationing. Still rationing. And bread you could build houses with. And tiny meals. Never feeling properly full. Except at Christmas. And God was it bland. Grey meat. Grey people. Everything grey. My dad came home one day with this amazing new food item a friend had recommended. But Mum, she wouldn't let us eat any of it because she'd been heard it had made of mould. It was yogurt. That's what being a woman in the 50s is. Fear. You're walking through a world that the war was supposed to have mended for you, but it all just looks broken. Bomb-shaped holes everywhere. And men like my dad coming back from the war with their bodies intact but their heads different. Everyone making do and mending things that were already wrecked. And the intolerance. Try being anything other than a straight white man and you see if you still think it's a utopia. I don't expect not to be groped at work. That's the least of your worries. Your husband is legally allowed to fuck you whenever he wants to. And it doesn't matter how bad things are between you two, or how many two children you've got, or how much your head aches and your back aches, you just can't stand the sight of him anymore, the weight of him on you. And no abortion, no birth control, no help anywhere. Divorce him? Good luck, love. Whatever he got up to, you just turned a blind eye to it. Oh, my poor mother. Frightened of yogurt. You know, she said to me, in the hospice as she was dying, she said to me, "What have I done, really?" And I went, "Oh, don't say that. I've raised 3 children. That's not nothing. What's more important than that?" But I didn't believe it. She didn't believe it. She knew. Her life had been wasted. All of it boiled down to such a bitter little existence. Well, she probably turned a blind eye to all sorts of rubbish, and look where that got her. Do you want to know what she'd do if she saw you now? She'd laugh. You know, he's so proud of being a man. And it'd be so painful and humiliating for him to know that he owed anything to me. Oh, completely wreck our relationship. And this life that we've built together would no longer exist. Yes, sometime perhaps, years from now when I'm no longer pretty? Oh, you mustn't laugh. I mean, of course, when Torvald no longer loves me as he does, when it no longer amuses him to see me dance and dress up and play the fool for him, well, then it might be a bit useful to have something up my sleeve. Stupid. Well, that day will never come. Well, what do you think of my big secret, Christine? I'm not completely useless, am I? Mind you, all this has caused me a frightful lot of worry. It hasn't been easy to meet my obligations punctually. And in case you don't know, in the business world, there's these things called quarterly installments and interest, and they're a terrible problem to cope with. And so I've had to scrape a little here and save a little there as best as I can. I haven't been able to save much of the housekeeping money because, well, Torvald likes to live well. And I couldn't let the children go short of clothes, or I couldn't take anything out of what he gives me for them. The poor little angels. Of course. I mean, after all, it was my problem. Whenever Torvald gave me money to buy myself new clothes, I never used more than half of it, and I always bought what was the cheapest and plainest. Well, thank heavens anything suits me, so that Torvald never noticed. But it made me quite sad sometimes, because it's lovely to wear pretty clothes, don't you think? Oh, and then I managed to find one or two other sources of income. Last winter I managed to get a lot of copying to do, and so I shut myself away and I wrote every night, late into the night. Oh, I often got so tired. But it was great fun, sitting there, working and earning money. Well, it was almost like being a man. Well, I can't exactly say. I mean, it's awful difficult to keep an exact check on these kinds of transactions. I've only known everything I've managed to scrape together. Sometimes I really didn't know where to turn. And then I'd sit here and imagine some rich old gentleman has fallen in love with me. Silly. But now that he'd died, and when they read his will, it said in big letters, "Everything I possess is to be paid forthwith to my beloved Mrs. Nora Helmer in cash." Great heavens, don't you understand? There wasn't any old man. He was just something I used to dream up as I sat here evening after evening wondering, oh, how on earth I could make some money. But what does it matter? The old bore can stay imaginary as far as I'm concerned, because now, oh, I don't have to worry any longer. Oh, Christine, isn't it wonderful? I don't have to worry anymore. No more troubles. Oh, I can play all day with the children. I can fill the house with pretty things, just the way Torvald likes. And Christine, it'll soon be spring, and the air fresh, and the sky's blue. And perhaps we'll be able to take a little trip somewhere. I shall be able to see the sea again. Oh, yes, yes. Oh, it's a wonderful thing to be alive and happy. If it appears to you that I am constantly mourning and lamenting, I am ashamed. I ask that you forgive me. Does not my background and being my father's daughter urge me to bear witness to all that has happened in this house? From day to day, from morn to night, this endless increase of wrongs is one ceaseless sorrow. But the first cause is my mother. My mother hates me. Here in this house, I must live with my father's murderers. I am subject to their rule, beholden to them for each and everything that I do. Can you imagine the days watching Aegisthus sit on my father's throne, seeing him in my father's robes, witnessing him pour libations on the very spot where he killed my father? Espying the worst outrage of all, this murderer of my father, in my father's bed, with her, with my mother. As his mistress, brazenly she lives with the foul and contaminated criminal, fearing no fury. Far from it, she laughs in the face of what she has done. She marks the day of my father's treacherous murder, and she celebrates it with song and sacrifice. Every month on that day, she gives thanks to the gods who saved her. I must confront this profane ceremony that commemorates his name, suppressing my grief and lamentation, holding them tight inside my body. My heart, it cries for tears, but I must not let them show. But this murderer, this empress of deceit, she taunts me. She says to me, "What a wretched girl you are, you damnable creature. Do you think you're the first who've ever lost a father? Does no one else ever mourn? I curse you. May you never find escape from your sorrows, not even in the underworld." And on, and on. She taunts me. Unless she hears a rumor that Orestes is coming. Then she goes mad and shrieks in my face, saying, "This is all your fault. I have you to thank for this. You're the one who stole him from my embrace and forced him to go away. Mark my words, you will pay for this." By now, she is screaming, and at her side, her noble lord backs her like the coward he is, the type of man who picks a woman as his foe. I must wait and wait, doing nothing, waiting for Orestes to return and right all our wrongs. I always intended to do it, and so I wait, and I wait, endlessly waiting until any scrap of hope dies with me. How can you suggest restraint and piety from someone in such a state? Evil surrounds me. He hurt me. He really did, you know. I mean, he could take a lot, pretty much anyway. But like my face had shit. It just is. I mean, not that I think it's some beauty, some old-fashioned glamour gal or anything. I mean, I don't, but I'm not bad. You know? I'm not bad at all. And you know what? Even if I was ugly, I'm saying if I was not cute or close to that unattractive by world standards, I mean, don't I want to be with a guy who finds me beautiful? I think so. It's not like a math equation or anything like that. I mean, it's fairly simple. You can't be with a guy who finds you unattractive to look at. Not that, but even on the fence. How can I? Just knowing that he's sitting there across from me at dinner, but he's always reaching for something, like the salt or whatever. Or he's looking around the room. And why? Because he doesn't want to make eye contact with you. And that would suck. Completely suck if you were in that position. And you know what? That was going to be me. I mean, and saying once I knew how he felt about me, of course. That's all I had to look forward to. Listen, it's weird. I know that. Because I don't count looks as my top thing in a guy. Not at all. Look at Greg. I mean, he's got a good face, really. It's not knockout, but very okay. Yeah, I never used to even think to myself. I mean, envision him in that way. I'm not saying that this is full of profound insight or whatever. But you know what? Any girl my age or younger, if she heard her boyfriend say that, she'd be pissed. That her boyfriend thinks her face is okay. I mean, you can't just say that to a person and they swallow it down and you expect to come up smiling about it or something like that. You know what I'm saying? There's just no good way to take that. And I still go nuts if I break out on my chin or anything. I carry tweezers in my purse. And you know what? I'm not even as crazy about it as a lot of my friends are. And every single one of them, or the ones I've called, they all said to dump him. Yeah, they did. Because if he's willing to say that, even to a friend, they said you can bet he's probably thinking even more than you know about. I mean, can you imagine what he's actually feeling about my legs or my arms or anything? I mean, okay, yes, I'm thinking about the rest of it too. I mean, of course I am. But I can't even start to go there about wanting to throw up. I mean, I always felt like my face was one of my better parts, and he's talking about me like I'm some old Buick out in the backyard. He keeps thinking about fixing up, but just can't get to it. Meant as a compliment, he says to me, as if that's supposed to calm my nerves or something. But you know what? Fuck that. I mean, really. You know what? I'm realistic, and I know who I am as a person. I mean, I don't have a lot going for me. Not really. I'm not pretty or smart or educated. And I'm not gorgeous like some girls. But you know what? I like what I've got, and I'm going to protect that. I am. Yeah. I mean, wouldn't you?